We're really excited for you all to join us. I live in Waimea with my partner and my daughter Vance, who celebrated a milestone today. She just advanced from one preschool class to the other. So we we had a graduation this morning. If you know Small World in Waimea, she was a Grover and now she's a big bird. So it's a very big day for us. Summer is upon us. So graduation, all those things here in the dry forest. Summertime means it's quite dry. As you arrived, I don't know if you noticed all of the big clouds this way, but we did have a quick little shower here, which we're always really grateful for, especially in the driest times in summer. So that was really special and also kind of nice that it stopped so you all can sit out there. One of the most amazing things that happens here in the Waikōloa dry forest during summertime is that the wili trees bloom. So this is a time where most things are shutting down and taking a break and conserving their energy and their water because they know that there's a long dry season ahead before the abundance of rain, we hope, returns in the winter time. But the wili trees put on their show at this time. They bloom and it's really spectacular to see. And one of the things that we're really celebrating right now is that so many of our keiki wili trees are flowering. So they've transitioned, they've graduated into maturity, and now they're producing their own flowers. And I'm looking that way because I can see a beautiful keiki wili tree blooming. And of course, the flowers are beautiful to look at, and they, keep us encouraged during this dry season, but they also produce the seeds. And the seeds are the future of this forest, especially in the dryland forest where we've lost so much. When we see these trees blooming, many of them were planted probably by some of you in this room, for sure, in this room in Sali. We've had 10 years of planting, and after 10 years of planting, this forest has really transitioned too. We've been thinking a lot about that and how things are different now. When Beverly led the charge to start this place and to conserve these wili trees, there were just a few trees left, and their flowers were really precious, and there was kind of the weight of the world on those flowers, right? They had the potential for seeding the future forests. And, after 10 years of protecting and doing the restoration work that's badly needed in this place, it feels like this is now a source instead of just a place that needs help. It's a resource. And we're celebrating that in many, many ways. And a lot of that is due to the amazing dedication of our preserve manager, Rob. So I just want to mahalo you. And as we made this kind of difficult decision to pick wili flowers for our own enjoyment, we were talking about why we felt like that was okay. And one of the milestones that we've kind of approached is the amount of seeds that we have stored for the future. We have lots of seeds stored here with us and at seed banks around the world, actually. And we're about 75,000 wili trees in storage for the future. And when we started this work here, there were only 70 wili trees here. So I think that's an interesting moment, and we're very happy to see that this is now a place of abundance where things can thrive, and we can treat this as a resource. One of the other amazing things that happens during summer, and thank you all who have supported our Future Foresters program, is we have a summer camp called Aina Explorers, and we just finished our first week. It was awesome, Jackie. I actually got to go outside and play around with kids. And one of the things we're trying to do with those summer camps, we introduce kids to this place and teach them to know about some of the things that are here, but we also try to get them out onto other parts of our region. So the theme of this week was wind and fire and, these elements that connect all of these different places, but also kind of define all these different places. So we started in Waikōloa and we went to Lalamilo and North Kohala and at Upolu and Lapakahi and Puako and Puwawa and talked about dryland forest, kinda, but also just looking at all of these different places in our regions and understanding that each one of these places is important and meaningful, and only through this tiny lens of wind or fire. And there's just so much you can say about every place. So you have to start somewhere. So that's what we did. And we had a really, really great time. And one of the things that the kids get to do is meet people that work on these lands or in these oceans or in these places and connect with them. One of the things Ku'ulei does in her capacity as cultural director at Aloha Kīholo is she introduces Keiki to Kīholo and helps them know Kīholo with her partner, Lehua. I'm glad you're here as well. And that's been a huge part of our Future Foresters program this year. And we really thank you both for being there for our after school program that comes to the forest every week. These kids come every week and they know everything about this place in this forest preserve. And we want them to reach out and understand that there are other places on Earth as well where people take care. And it's been really awesome to have you guys. When we were starting to kind of put together our program for after school kids this past year, we knew we wanted Aloha Kīholo to be a big part of it if they were willing. And they're also very busy and very productive. And so we didn't really know if they were going to be into it or how it was going to go. And I remember that Jackie, our education coordinator, was like kind of unsure how to approach Ku'ulei, because I'm sure most of you that are here tonight kind of knew what you were getting into. Ku'ulei is kind of famous. She's one of those people that just knows so much and is such a valuable resource, and we really respect that, and we want to make sure that we kind of have our shit together when we call you up. And I could understand why Jackie was a little bit intimidated. I really could, except that it's never intimidating to talk to you. You have this way of opening your heart fully to anyone who is standing in front of you and sharing what you have with us. And I just really want to mahalo you for being our guide and teaching our keiki and being you. So thank you. Yeah. So as Kama'aina of the drylands of North Kona, as a mother, cultural educator, historian, poet, rancher, and many, 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 many other things. Ku'ulei, as many of you know, has a very unique lens of her own and a talent for recognizing and articulating the perspectives of others, both past and present. Through her captivating storytelling, through the perpetuation of oral histories. Her artful presentations challenge us to reflect on our own ideas about the world, provide us an opportunity to open our minds up to the perspectives of others, and to examine the role that each of us have as people on Earth to Malama Aina. We're so fortunate to have Ku'ulei in our community, in our classrooms, in our waters, and on our land, perpetuating tradition, planning for the future, and helping us all to better understand our function as people of Hawaii and in Hawaii. Mahalo for everything you're about to share with us. Ku'ulei.
Oh boy, here we go, sir. Oh. Yeah, that brought tears for sure. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Much love, Jen. Oh boy, that's I don't know if my shoes can feel that. Do I need this mic? Yeah. Alrighty, we shall do the mic. Aloha ahiahia kako pakahia pau. O wau o Ku'ulei Keakealani. Roberta Ku'ulei Keakealani. He wahine, he kupa'ai, he kama'aina, he keiki no ho'i. O pu'u, nā pu'u pu'alu kinikini. I ku ia ke au lewa, i ka makani, i ka ho'ohai a ka nā ulu, i ho'elo ia e ka Waikōloa. A me ke kaumuku i ku'ehu lepo i ke kula pili. My name is Ku'ulei, and I come from this place that is called Nā Pu'u Pu'alu Kinikini. And I address myself as a daughter, as a child, as a woman, as a aina, a native tenant, a aina, of this place called Na Pu'upu'alu Kinikini. And it is a place where rain clouds appear. These rain clouds that are called naulu. And to ho'ohai, to somewhat tease, but they rise there. This wind and this rain of the naulu is also moistened. It says, ho'elo ia e ka Waikōloa. That the Waikōloa moistens it. And another wind is called forward, a kaumuku wind. And it says, ku'ehu lepo, kaumuku ku'ehu lepo I ke kula pili. These plains were home to pili grass. And so the pili grass covered plains, that the kaumuku wind that stirs dust amongst these plains, naulu clouds that rise, the Waikōloa wind that moistens it. I speak of my home, Pu'ua Nahulu, Pu'ua Awa'a, affectionately known together as Napu'u, Pu'alu Kinikini. I'm sure you may not have expected what tonight was going to hold or this evening, but you're going to be active participants, I hope. That's a hope. But I want to dive into, when Jen had kind of asked me for a title or whatnot, I said, well, I don't really have one, but I better put some thought to that. Maybe I should have one. So I thought, well, I'm going to talk about name stories. And this is what I mean about active participation. I hope some of you feel moved to share. When you look at name stories, what's in a name? What is a name about? We perhaps our own selves, right? Each of us here, we have names. But I'll maybe start us off, and I hope maybe one or a few of you might share a name story. Because the intent of tonight is to look closer into a name. And maybe not so much people name, but then again, maybe people name, place name. So I'll just start with my own kind of name story. As kind of the title that I said to Jen, okay, I'll name this name stories. So my first name is Roberta, and I come from 3 Roberts. My dad is Robert, his dad. My grandfather on my paternal side is Robert, my mom's dad. So my grandfather on my maternal side is Robert. So those are the 3 Roberts that I come from. So for a long time in my life, I would not even, if somebody really did, and it was kind of serious, like if somebody called me Roberta, I wouldn't respond. Because I never went by Roberta, or maybe the first day of class when the teacher is calling out, what do you call that? Like roll call, and already, right, the classmates would be like, her name is Ku'ulei! So I'm like, yes, my name is Ku'ulei. Well, right, you evolve in life. And you arrive, and you continuously arrive at different points and different places and different spaces within your own self. And eventually I said to myself, how can I not love my name? Because I love these 3 Roberts that I come from. I love my dad. And I love my Grandpa Robert, Tutu Robert, as we affectionately call him. And I love my Grandpa Robert, Franklin Thompson from Bethesda, Maryland. So all of these 3 men, these 3 Roberts that I have immense love for, I'm named for them. So I should love my name, Roberta. And so I have arrived, right, years, maybe a decade or more ago, I arrived at this point to love my name, Roberta. So I think with that, if there's, and so I'm going to try to kind of rein in my emotion, but it's going to be good if I toss it out to you folks. Would anybody be willing to share your name story of perhaps how you got your name? Who gave it to you? Are you named for someone or some people like I am? It's a Hawaiian name, or if it's a name of another indigenous people, I'll put it out to you. Anybody want to share?
Well, I'll throw out mine.
Lovely.
My name is Kelly, and it was my mom's favorite name. She named her Irish Kelly. My middle name is Ann. My Auntie Ann showed up at the hospital when I was born. And my maiden name is Martin, but now my last name is Rolf because I married this guy. I did look up the name Kelly, what it meant. It meant warrior woman, and I'm a fighter when I need to be.
I can vouch for that.
And my husband Sam has a great story about his name.
Thank you for
I don't
sharing.
know how great it is. But, my parents were old school. This is the early 60s, right? So my mom's in giving birth, and my dad goes to the bar. And at the bar, they're playing North to Alaska with John Wayne. And his character was Big Sam. So he came back and said, yeah, it's a boy. We want to name him Sam. That's how it's going.
But you see how important it is to, one, know our name story. No other person perhaps has that story but you. So in your own unique self, and you know the reason why you're named Sam, or Kelly, or Ann, or Lehua. Right? So who names you, San? Sorry, just to put her on the spot. This is my lovely cousin who is by my side in more ways than we could even imagine.
Come on.
Thank you. We were going there.
Yeah. So I'm going with Lehua. I haven't used Lehua like for maybe 40 years of my life. Maybe, about that time, because I was Sandy. I'm known as Sandy. I'm known as Sandy girl or San. But then I began to know the purpose of my name of Lehua. And I thought always, that it was the Lehua blossom, and that when you pick it rains, and I always was the crybaby. So I thought that was the Lehua, what the blossom meant for me. But then I come to find out that the story of my name of Lehua actually comes from my grandparents. That came from my great-grandfather, how he named their children for the fishermen. And I was known that I was a Lehua because my kupunas were the caretakers of the koa out at Kīholo, out in that ocean area. So I was named, my grandpa decided to name me Lehua to carry on their tradition of fishing. And today, I count fish in a local i'a. Oh, yeah.
Hola. So I think right there, which is, I was so hoping that you did go to that place. So because what Cousin Sandy just shared is kind of the gist of tonight. For us to perhaps see beyond what we might already know. How many of us knew Lehua as the red Lehua, the blossom on the ohia tree, got red, maybe got orange, yellow. Deep in that Kohala Mountains, there's a white.
Yeah, white.
Yeah. So did we know anything else, or do we know anything else beyond that the Lehua is the blossom of the ohia? Not too much.
It's one of the first plants that comes up after the ball.
Oh, lovely. So there is a genealogy, right? Once the pele going come in, there's usually a fern that's going to come in. Ohia is in that succession of what's going to regenerate or generate on lava. So here it is. A lehua is an expert fisherman. A lehua is a fish hook. A particular fish hook that was used to lawaiahi aku in aku fishing. It is made out of the mother of pearl. It's the one with the rainbow kind of iridescent colors. That's a lehua. So lehua as a fisherwoman. She is, as her name says, not just the lehua blossom, but an expert fisherman. So here it is, to see beyond what we perhaps know. So I have an activity, and this is again what I meant about. Oh, San, you can go get my. Oh, here it is. Thank you. You guys, she is my lifesaver. Okay, so you all, I hope. This is not like forced, but please participate. Please. Yes. So this is my intention. We're gonna go and look deeper into the name of this place, this wahi, Waikōloa. We're gonna split you guys up into groups and turn it the right way. I need 7 groups. I am the worst ever math person, so do not look at me. If somebody is a math person, please help me out, because I don't know how many peoples we get. Thank you, sister. Yes?
We're just going to count off real quick.
Oh, I love it. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6,
7.
1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6, 7,
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1,
2,
3,
4, 5.
6.
Uncle Linda Papale.
No, we did this already.
Yeah,
Okay.
so 7.
7.
1, 2, 3,
4, 5.
Back there, blue. 7, 6, 7.
7,
1, 2,
3,
4, 5, 6,
7.
1, 2, Beverly. 3.
We got everybody. I love it, sister. Thank you. Whew. You would think, right? Right? Oh my gosh. Well, I so love it. So here is your objective. You can again write all at once, go find you one place, tools, find you your place, and so on and so forth. So you each are going to be given a pepper, a piece of paper. Most of them I will highlight. I hope I haven't failed myself that I will highlight. If I never highlight, you call me to your group. But it should be highlighted. Your task within your group is to, San, you bring out those 3 books so that you know I made copies out of these 3 books. These are your sources. You're actually going to dive into active research. You yourselves going to read, see, think about, ponder, share back to the group what it is, this word that you have been assigned in your group will then bring forward to us. So some of you might have a copy. I think I wrote it on some of these. If you've got Hanau Kaua, that's your resource book that you're pulling out. This is kind of the old place names of Hawaii. Yeah, this is kind of the old one. Oh no, that was just my. And then Keia. So each one. Kamu, did you get a number? Okay, great, thank you. So that's your objective. Look at all of the meanings, right? We're looking deeper. So clue you in just a little bit, right? One of the words, if you're in that group, your word is vai, water. I think that's kind of maybe common. We all know water, vai. Well, march on down. What is meaning number 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So we're expanding our minds to know lehua beyond just the flower of the ohia tree. It is an expert fisherman. It is a fish hook used by ahi fishermen. That's called a lavai ahi aku. Anyway, we get the gist of what we gotta do. May kai. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys like a few minutes for ones to assemble, twos to assemble, wherever la, and then I'll come give you your pepper. Okay? On your mark, get set, go. San. Here's 5, 6, 7. Okay. So, friends, thank you, my dear. Thank you. We might have to do that a few times tonight. Here, each of you had a part of a whole word and or a whole word. Here's our chance to almost connect dots, to make correlations, to see things deeper than what we perhaps might have on prior this activity. So, Uncle, what was your guys' word number 1? Vai. Okay, you go share out. What are the multiple meanings of vai?
Of course, we all know it means water.
Water.
But it means any kind of a liquid, like liquor is vai. And
Any liquid. Except, what did it say?
except for seawater.
There you go. Except kai. You can never address seawater, the ocean water, as vai, because what is it? Kai. It's kai. Go ahead.
There is vai on kai, the lens, the fresh water on top. So
So there's mixtures. Vai can mix with kai. And we know that to be what kind water? Brackish water. Vai kai. Our alkaline pools, our lokoi'a. Most of we actually have some springs that's in the ocean.
Yeah.
Literally. Hapuna. Woo! Right? So I love that. Any other meanings?
oh yes.
Okay.
Any body fluid. And use your imagination.
Bodily fluids. Yes. And it's going to be Keakealani, Waikōloa. Okay. But bodily fluids.
The one that I thought was most interesting, it means to retain, but a vai, wait a minute. Halibai is a prison, a house to retain.
Huh.
I never heard that one. Halibai, so let's stay on the halibai.
So there's a bit of a vai is your bit, so it means to, like, I could say this. There's a longer word that's vaiho. Vaiho means to, I'm gonna vaiho my book. I place my book on the table. I'm gonna vaiho it. I'm gonna leave it there. So that's kind of the thought of vai, to leave, to place, to retain. The book is retained in that area. It's left there. It's placed there. So the prisoner is placed in the cell, retained there, left there. Yes, Auntie?
And our group also came up with, where's my aquifer friends? Aquifer, because the water is retained in a pool underground.
Yes.
Can we see that? In a punavai, a spring, it is retained in and amongst and within that punavai. It is retained there. Some of the stories say it is placed there by the god Kane. Kane Ikavaiola. Kane places his springs in different areas. So it is placed, left, retained. Love it. Any more, Uncle?
One last one, a type of house with thatched purlins 2 inches apart.
So here it is. It is a unit of measurement. 2 fingers width is 1 vai. And you're going to thatch it like weavers. Maybe some of you are weavers. They can tell you weave with 1 vai spacing. That's two finger lengths. That was your last one?
No, there was one more. Remember Waikōloa? The stream bed?
Oh, that's right, okay.
Love it.
I'm having trouble finding it here.
No, we talked about it. It came off of
okay.
meanings, and then we started connecting, like you were saying, like what do these meanings mean, like that we know of, and we came. Well, I remembered our name, because place names that have vai in them, and Waikōloa has vai in it, and I thought of the stream that.
Ding, 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 ding. Waikōloa has vai in it, and many other place names that have vai in it. Vai kapuna, vai pio, vai manu, vai elepi, vai ula ula. Thank you. Okay, everybody, let's give group number 1 a hand. Remember, we're connecting dots. So we heard a myriad of meanings for vai. Group number 2.
So we had ko.
Ko.
So one of the first definitions for it is sugar cane. Sugar cane, a large unbranched grass brought to Hawaii by the pollination.
Yep.
Number 2, dragged or windborne.
Oh.
Dragged, or windborne.
How do you spell it?
Like long. Windborne, long.
Oh, okay, so when, or you can say it all,
Okay.
then I'll put the whole thing together.
Okay.
What it came out with.
Okay. To fulfill, come to pass, succeed, complete, foreclose.
Yeah,
Ending.
I love it. So we can say ua ko kuleana, or we can say to our kids ho'o ko kuleana. Until you wash dishes, then you come tell me, because then I know you have succeeded in, or Jen's daughter, Vance, graduated. She fulfilled, she succeeded, she finished or completed Grover room. Now she's going Big Bird room. So she has succeeded, she has fulfilled. So again, boom, vai, hopefully we saw beyond just water. Ko, maybe some of us knew ko or sugar cane. Perhaps. Now we see beyond that. Group number 2. Okay, remember we're piecing it together. We've got vai, ko. What should be the next one?
Loa.
Oh yeah, no.
So, loa is long, or height, or distance, or very, like Maikailoa or Mahalo Anui Loa, thank you very much, are extending, like Mauloa, like a long life. And then someone, I think it was Kelly right here, said like a picker, when you're gonna go pick avocado, is aloha, so it's an extender. And now I'm excited to take it to the personal. Can I do a 30-second? Everybody has to do it. It's really healthy.
Go for it,
So
Kelly.
I got a personal discovery on this. So I just found out that I'm a kumu ho'oloa. So everybody please rise. Okay, so round your feet and just start to go like this and stretch up for your star, for your highest self.
Oh,
for your feel
yeah.
good. So what are you doing?
It does. Loa.
What are you doing? Ho'oloa. What does that mean?
Extend.
Stretch. I'm a yoga teacher.
Oh, yeah, Kelly. Woo! Nice.
This is Kelly. Kelly's got a beautiful story.
Okay.
Yeah. So one that stuck out to me was Aoloa, and Ao is cloud. Loa meant it said in the dictionary strata cloud, which is a long cloud, cloud. And it's interesting because I lived in New Zealand, otherwise known as Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud. Of course, the R switches into L when you migrate historically. So Loa, Aoloa, stratus cloud.
Okay, Waikōloa. We kind of took it in 3 parts. Miss Jackie, I so hope you get Waikōloa, the word. And again, though, broadened our perspective of Waikōloa. Loa.
So we have two highlighted here. We have the words vai with the word koloa. And here it is a land section, a development area, and a stream near Puako and Waikiki. And it says a land section, stream, and hill. And it literally means the duck water. So koloa, the native duck, and vai, the water. So the literal translation is duck water. And then we also have vai, and then ko, the o with the kahako, and then loa, the three different words. It could be the gulch near Schofield Barracks in Oahu, or it's also the name of a cold northwest wind. And the literal translation is the water that's being pulled far.
What did we get from group 1, 2, 3? Water, ko, dragged. Loa, long. Water dragged long. Jackie, try repeat your last part.
Water pulling far.
Thank you, Miss Jackie. Okay, Auntie, you can go sit, Jackie. Thank you.
I have Waikōloa, and it's the cold wind associated with Mount Ka'ala on Oahu and the nearby place of the same name.
Shall I read your first part again?
The cold wind associated with Mount Ka'ala on Oahu and the nearby place of the same name.
Cold wind. Of course, it's associated Mount Ka'ala, Oahu, but here's the thing. This association again with wind. Cold. A cold wind. Thank you. Auntie?
So our group had Waikōloa, so vai, water, kaloa, the long, and we also found the duck pond, and something about cold rains, hearing wind, cold rains from a long way, from the mountains, perhaps.
Yeah.
Cold wind, long wind. Are we seeing a pattern here?
Yeah.
Are we getting it? Long, pulled, drag, wind-borne. What else you said? What was that the last one you just said?
Cold rains from long away.
Cold rains from long away. Is that not drag, pulled, wind-borne, loa? Huh. And Uncle. Number 7, right.
We had koloa, the koloa maoli ko, the Hawaiian duck, and that duck is still living in the Kohala Mountains, not far from here. Also, koloa meant a long stick with a crook in the end, and also to make a long roaring sound. And one thing that came to mind was that Waikōloa, the Apua, is quite large and was probably most populated along the coast, where there were a long series of ankling ponds where a great deal of fish were raised and whatnot. Those ponds, of course, were covered with lava in the 1850s or something, so the name was here. Before that, we also have mumuku wind that comes through here very, very strong. It roars, picks up the earth, throws it in the air, and makes the water, makes a roaring sound when you're sheltering in that strong wind. So another possibility would be that the fish ponds would turn white and roar when the mumuku winds came through from Palina, which is the top part of Waikōloa. But we're just trying to stick things together.
So it's in this, for group number 7, it's an attribute or it's saying, it's bringing, it's evoking sound. It's saying that there's a roar. Even if it's a slight, well, maybe, I don't know, if it's a slight breeze, maybe we could say a slight breeze has, but the microphone was picking it up, right? That's a roar. Wind in our own ears.
Yes.
Okay, but then Uncle also, can I see you, Peppa? A quick one. Because one of you, and I might, oh, you had Koloa.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I cannot even see. That's all right. Because I cannot, one of you gotta go back and try look. Whoever has the paper in your hand, it's going to be the last definition. The last one. And I don't think it was place names. If you had the dictionary, try look, who had Loa? Who was our Loa group?
Yes.
Cali folks.
Yeah.
Cali, what is the last definition?
The one that's highlighted is a district and or large section of,
Yep, that's it.
yeah, large section.
A large section. Okay. Okay, there you go. You guys had Loa and you had Poko.
Right.
So that was part of it, right? To look at Loa, they gave us the long cloud, the stretching, the height, distance, long. And then it said to as a contrast to Poko. And Poko is? Short. So we can see that, right? Poko, Loa. But Callie, read us again that last one about the district.
Okay. A district and or large section of, what is that?
Yep. Of a district.
What?
So it also means Loa means a large part of a district. I want to pull our attention, hopefully you guys can see, and I gotta thank my lovely, wonderful friend, Drew Cap, who made this map for me. I want you folks to look at, I know they're all orange lines, but I'm gonna try and mark for you folks. Sorry, I don't know if I can reach, I'm too short. So,
Move the table.
okay. Oh, smart. We go move the table. Oh, thank you guys. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Uncle. Okay. So potentially, pu'uwa'awa'a is, or pu'ua na hulu. So we really need to, I want you folks to, and this is kind of rough about, but this is one district of the entire island. This is our Kohala district. All of this, right? Do you folks see this orange line that I'm pointing to? Goes all the way in there to this point. Comes back out. So pretty much what my hand is on, that is Waikōloa. Would we say that it is a large part of a district?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So one, it lives to its meaning of being a large, this whole chunk, and this, and this, and a little bit of this is all of South or Kohala district. But look at how much Waikōloa takes up of that. So it is true to its name in meaning a large part of a district. I'm going to relay forward a couple of excerpts from a couple of stories. Remember what we pieced together. Waikōloa. Wind that is pulled, drug, carried, long distance. There are two brothers. We're stepping into the space of Ka'au, Mo'olelo, ancient narratives, story. Two supernatural brothers. Their names is Kamiki and Makaiole. They hail out of Kohanaiki. They are raised on the backside of Hualalai by their grandmother, Kauluhe Nui Hihi Kolo Iuka. Kamiki and Makaiole are trained by their grandmother, Kauluhe. They become Olohe. Olohe means that you are skilled in everything. You can riddle. You can play konane. You can surf. You become trained to be champions. So these two brothers are going to be, oh, hello. Yes. Oh, look, two manu. That must be them. These two brothers are going to be sent by their grandmother because they have reached this point. Ko. Talk about ko. They have fulfilled all of the training. She is saying to them, this is now your graduation. I send you off from our home mountain of Hualalai at a place called Kalamaula. You must go and fetch the things that you need, you two boys, for your graduation, your uniki. You need the ava ililena, the sacred yellow-barked ava from Waipio. You need the vai kapua poliahu. You must go to the summit of Mauna Kea to a place called Kawaihua Kane. The second spring. Everybody, we all kind of know Waiau, but there is another, Waihua Kane. You are to obtain that water. So you have your ava, your water. You are to go to the sacred ancestress. Some people today in Waimea call this place Lakeland. Its traditional name is Lani Mamau. She is the goddess of fog. Go to your ancestress, Lani Mamau. She will give for you the kanoa, the bowl for the water from Mauna Kea, the ava. This is what you need for graduation. But it says that Kamiki and Makaiole will meet at a hill called Holoholoku before they return back to Kalamaula Hualalai. But watch what happens on the summit of Mauna Kea. Kamiki, quick. His name means quick, adept, agile. He is so quick. Once he receives the kanoa from ancestress Lani Mama, which is the bowl that's named Hoku Ula, he is going to dip it in the waters of Kawaihua Kane. There are two attendants, Pohakuloa, Pohakuo Kane, and they stand watch at this sacred punavai atop Mauna Kea. Kamiki is so fast. He dips the kanoa, he's out. Meets his brother at Holoholoku, a hill. As you enter into Waimea, Holoholoku sits up on the right-hand side of the road. It says that on his way, Kamiki's way to meet his brother, Makaiole, at Holoholoku, there is a wind, a cold wind that's going to come and scoop water from the kanoa. And it is going to carry it and carry it, eventually to drop it. And a spring is created. Pohakuloa, Pohakuo Kane, come. And they're saying, we don't remember this spring ever being here. They come from the backside of Mauna Kea. Hopefully you guys are catching, right? Pohakuloa, Pohakuo Kane. These are place names. These are people. They come to this spring where the water was carried and dropped. And this would be a new way to fetch and retrieve water. That place, you and I might know it today by the name Waikiki, that fetched the water. Then it says, along the way on the Waikōloa plains, this wind, the wind-borne water, carried far. Named in a story of my own homelands and Auntie Barbara's and Cousin Sherelle of Pu'uanahulu. See, there is a genealogy. She is a chiefess on Nahulu. She has a husband, Wa'awa'a. They have 4 children. One of the children is a daughter named Puako. Puako loves to eat he'e. Puako is going to marry a man named Lalamilo. Lalamilo then, we look at Lalamilo's genealogy. His grandfather, Kanakanaka, his grandmother, Piliamo'o. Kanakanaka, named in the story, has a sister who is a wind goddess. Her name is Waikōloa. We need not wonder why every reference to this place talks about wind and or rain. It is right in its name. And the stories and the narratives that we have, I won't even use this word of evidence, but it is what allows us to see things and say, oh, makes sense. Waikōloa, windy. Waikōloa, a cold wind, roars, long carried water. One more reference I give you. There is a story that speaks of, it's within the same story of Anahulu and Wa'awa'a, how Pu'u Anahulu and Pu'u Wa'awa'a got its name. Anahulu, they all hail from Puna. They're not from this side. It's only when they come and they move here. Their oldest daughter, Anai Ho'omalu, the beach that we know today bears her name, Anai Ho'omalu. Her younger sister proceeds north, marks where she meets the old woman, and is going to be introduced to the grandson, Lala Milo. But in this story, it says that this priestess, chiefess, Anahulu, when she comes from Puna, her brother comes. His full name, Kaholoi Vayakanaulu. You and I might know it as the Naulu, wind and rain of Kauai. That is him. Kaholoi Vayakanaulu, full name. Lives in Kauai at a place called Kaho'opulu. He is the brother of Anahulu, Pu'u Anahulu. It says in this relationship of this brother to care for and tend to the needs of his sister and her dry and parched and arid lands of Pu'u Anahulu and Pu'u Wa'awa'a, he is going to send forward. I brought this up in my introduction. Ku ia ke au leva I ka makani a ka ho'a I ka ho'ohai a ka naulu. The Naulu clouds will rise and begin in Kauai. He brings them forth. Him, Naulu, Kaholoi Vayaka Naulu. He pushes his Naulu winds and rain until they get here, Waikōloa. Which is why in that narrative it says, Ho elo ia eko Waikōloa. That this Waikōloa wind, cold Waikōloa wind and rain will moisten his clouds that he brings forward. Then it is sent there. So you try look, Naulu is not only a Kauai name of a rain and a wind, it is a Pu'u Anahulu name of a wind and a rain, because that's where it arrives. He sends them forward, these rain clouds. Is clouds not vai? Indeed it is. This long, drawn forward wind cloud. Waikōloa, the distant wind pushes it up until it cares for sister of Kaholoi Vayakanaulu and moistens her lands. And in this relationship of brother to sister, Naulu, Waikōloa carries it forward so she and her land can have vai. So, I'm going to try. Oh, I think I actually remembered my glasses. So we went pretty deep. I hope. I'm going to read for you a poem that I wrote. But it talks about heritage carriers. Jen almost knew nothing. And I didn't mean to be like that, like, well, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But she almost knew nothing about what I was going to bring forward tonight. But she said something in her introduction or in her sharing that I hope, this note that I wish to leave you all with. That if there is any way that I can impress upon you, what is your role in Hawaii? To Hawaii. To the winds, to the rains, to the alkaline pools, to these trees, to yourselves, to the native tenants of place, it is to know that perhaps you have a part in being a heritage carrier. Uncle spoke the name of a wind, the Mumuku winds. I love that he knew that. So in as much as he is a carrier of that knowledge, each one of us, in our particular ways, can be heritage carriers. Jen also said something about these vili flowers when they first came in, that like the weight of the world, or the burden maybe was on them to survive, to keep going. Because if without you, would we have anything? So the weight, perhaps, or the gravity for these flowers to endure. And now 75,000 in a seed bank. So here's the thing as well, is to look at place as a repository. Place is going to keep its history. It is the repository. So what we do to aina, I caution that. Because sometimes, right, things are erased. Things get unfamiliar. I don't know that place anymore. It doesn't look the same. But maybe it feels the same. I hope. Anyway, I read for you this poem that is entitled Heritage Carriers. Whew, I know, take a breath. Okay. Realize your place in being a heritage carrier. Steer your course of mo'olelo, ka'au, malama, aloha, aina. Steer your course. Mo'o ka'au, mo'olelo. Stories, they show us who we are, where we have been, and reminds us of our connections. As a people, we value our attachment to place. When telling story in place, you can hear the voices of those who have passed much clearer. It is a passage to the past. Make the transition into imagination and memory. A quiet moment in place can transport you. Your travel companions are with you. Imagination and memory. Let the images within story emerge. Then you will see place in a different way. You will see beyond what the eye can physically see. There are those who breathe life to the past by speaking stories in the present. When we do, we revisit past times. When we recall what happened in a particular place, we see it beyond its current state. Place worlds. They are near. They are a spoken word away. Stories are the speech of our ancestors. Quoting them is important. Place names should bring pictures to the mind of ancestral times. Voices of the ancestors have a poetic force. The more we tell stories, the more we walk the well-worn path. Our awareness is deepened. Placemakers are guides as they speak the past into the present. Placemakers create place worlds. What can the spoken word do? Cultural meaning within words magnifies understanding. Helps you make sense of your world. Hold the space as a light keeper, as a heritage carrier. Well, where did we go? Come on back. Any thoughts? question. I think we may be over time. I apologize. Any thoughts?
I have a question that I've been wondering about, and that's like, is Waikōloa a part of an ahupua'a? Like, which one, or are we just an isolated, like, large part of Kohala district? Like, we don't have a Mauka and we don't have a Makai, or?
Beautiful question. This is what I can answer to you. Waikōloa is a landlocked, so it's not even an, so when you look in the Mahele records, you are going to see it referred to a few things. An Okana, a Kulana, or a Moko'oloko. These are sub-districts because they're so big. They're usually bigger than an ahupua'a. Look at this, right? This is big land section. So that's when it's going to be deemed Okana, Kalana, or a Moku'oloko. I have, though, seen some references to it as an ahupua'a. But here's an important piece. Waikōloa is landlocked. There is no ocean frontage. In any traditional map, you are going to see that shoreline out there is not Waikōloa.
What is that?
It is Anaiho'omalu. Yeah, Puako is more this side. Kalahui Pua'a. Puako. Hapuna. That's all your ocean frontage. Waikōloa has no ocean frontage. That is pretty crucial for us to remember because, yeah, look at the signs, look at the shops, look at Waikōloa, traditional boundary. So some of you might be familiar with Keahualono. Keahualono is this big, beautiful ahu built by Lono Ika Makahiki to solidify his friendship with Kapaihi Ahilina. Keahualono has an intersection of not only districts, it's going to bring in South Kohala, will touch North Kona, but Waikōloa, Anaiho'omalu, and Pu'uanahulu all touch at Keahualono. That is your other indicator that right here is the Waikōloa boundary. Everything here to the shore is not Waikōloa.
What is it?
Anaiho'omalu.
Oh, Anaiho'omalu.
Anaiho'omalu until you're going to come out and you're going to hit Kalahui Pua'a until you hit all of those places. Waima, Puako, right Hapuna, Kaunaoa, those are your ocean frontage.
And that's all Anaiho'omalu?
That stretch where Anaiho'omalu beaches, Anaiho'omalu gonna run you right up to Kapalawa. Kapalawa is already taking you into North Kona. But these are all your, if you can imagine that strip of your Aikai, which is all your ocean frontage, Kapalawa, Anaiho'omalu, Kalahui Pua'a, Puako, Hapuna, Kaunaoa. And Waikōloa will run all the way out to Puako. Once you get to Puako, she resides in her husband's ahupua'a. Puako is in Lalamilo. Lalamilo's father is a man named Hinai. This hill that was heavily quarried is the name of the father, of Lalamilo's father, Hinai. Neula, Kanakanaka, Piliamo'o, all the parents and grandparents of Lalamilo, all coastal section names within Hapuna. Southern point of Hapuna, Kanakanaka. So I guess this kind of leads us to your question. People and place, right? It's like literal. When we say people and place are connected, one in the same. When we just look at that, Waikōloa, place, large section of a district, a wind goddess, an auntie to Lalamilo, sister to Kanakanaka, as a person. Anyway, I'm deviating, but I hope I answered your question. Landlocked. Waikōloa is landlocked. Yes. Okay, friends. Any other thoughts? Questions? feelings. Mahalo ya kako. Good evening. Woo! Lovely, lovely.